All right, Ian.
Patrick.
The Nintendo PlayStation came up for auction after our last podcast.
Sure did.
We record once a week on Tuesday. People didn't know that. Not every other Tuesday, which we got killed for in the past. So this is obviously being auctioned by Heritage Auction right now. And it quickly raised to over $350,000 within the first few days when it came up for auction. The Nintendo PlayStation. Keep in mind, that does not include the 20% buyer's premium, which is basically what they're paying to the house on top of that. What I'm going to say about this is that I'm not surprised that this would go for a lot of money. This, as we know, at this point is a one-of-a-kind item. And by the way, yes, we know that Sony produced it. It's fun. It's better to call it Nintendo PlayStation.
It makes sense.
PlayStation prototype that can also play Super Nintendo cards. No, Nintendo PlayStation's fine. This got a lot of eyes on this the last 3-4 years. Terry and Dan Diebold went to a lot of conventions to show this off. They traveled around the world. They raised the profile of it. The past 3 years they've been doing this. So what I said, I guess, to people I knew privately before this happened, is that this will, to me, would not shoot up in value because of the people that are spending tons of money on the graded games. Because to me, this is a different sort of market. One of a kind historical piece is to me a lot different than someone buying a sealed Contra. To me, that's comic book people getting into a new marketplace to find a new holder of value. This to me is not a holder of value like those pieces, because this to me is, again, a one of a kind historical piece. This is going to go. This is going to be going to have yielding interest from rich people, celebrities that may not normally be into this. Like the people that made the Honest Wagner card worth a lot of money were celebrities. People like Todd McFarlane, people like Wayne Gretzky that are like, I'm a millionaire. This is interesting to me. It's a weird one-off. I want to put money into this. To me, this is the same sort of thing. You're going to have people with a lot of money get into this that may not necessarily care about owning a sealed, sticker seal, gumshoe game. But to them, this is like a piece of history in and of itself. And so far, that's how it's kind of played out, because Oculus co-founder Palmer Luckey came out and straight up said, I'm the high bidder right now. He came out and announced it publicly. There said, I'm interested in this because it's a piece of video game history. So to me, that's what's interesting about this item, because this to me would have succeeded with or without the craze with the sealed video games. Right. To me, it lies outside of that. It's not dependent upon that.
Yeah, I don't think that this. I don't think that anything that's going on in the sealed and graded video game collecting world has affected this really at all. We're not, and like you said, and I have my own thoughts on it, but by seeing someone like Palmer Luckey bidding on it, this isn't going to the people who have the sealed Mario Brothers. This is out of that group.
Yes.
Out of that, posse of people.
This could be any random celebrity sees this and it's like, all right, I'm worth $50 million. I'll throw down a few $100,000 bid because, hey, I like Nintendo, I like Sony. It'd be a centerpiece. It'd be something to have. Yeah,
I don't know. My thing is, so Palmer Luckey is saying he's done lots of video game preservation. He's a preservationist. And I think lots of people are throwing this word around now without necessarily knowing what that means or doing it. If that's the case, he can do whatever he wants with his money, but you could do a whole lot more preservation with the money he's looking to dump on this.
Sure. Palmer came out with some tweets that were a little cryptic in terms of what he plans and what he's behind the scenes, what he's doing. But he did say on Twitter, I've done more video game preservation than almost anyone, often to a higher standard than any institution I'm aware of.
Yeah,
that's a bold claim.
It is.
And I'm not saying what Palmer's doing behind the scenes isn't good. We don't know what he's doing. But it's a bold claim because there's been a lot of preservation done for decades now, and a lot of work from people when it wasn't even seen as something of import to do. When it was like, well, I'm doing this because it might be important. I should save all this stuff. And now that we have Video Game History Foundation, National Video Game Museum, we have the Strong Museum. Now it's in people's, in our industry at least, it's in our heads that video game preservation is important, but it wasn't always there.
Right. I think it's ballsy to assume that you're doing something better and more of it than a group like the Video Game History Foundation. I also think it's very easy to avoid criticism by saying I'm doing all these great things, but you can't see.
Yes,
I can fly, but only when no one's looking.
My guess, I don't know Palmer. My guess is that he's doing something based upon his background. He's doing something more on the hardware side, or maybe he's taking every old console and somehow getting 3D print versions of all of every console that's ever existed, so that they survive forever. I don't know, or maybe he's doing something connected to VR, where it's like a virtual system that you can play 100 years from now. That's what I'm thinking about, that he's thinking about the most authentic way of playing these games in their original form, when to me that's not necessarily the most important part of video game preservation, because to me the software side is obviously infinitely more important. It's important that we know how to play an original NES 100 years from now, but the software, if you don't have the software, you can't play anything on the console. So like they're both important, but the software to me is the side where things get more easily lost. There's always going to be someone that has an RCA Studio 2 out there that can probably repair it. There's going to be one preserved somewhere, but the software, that's to me what's more important, because be able to play that, share that experience.
Sure.
Because that's what lives on in entertainment is the media themselves, not how you play the media. That's not the important part of the equation, at least in my opinion, and to most people that study this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I take issue with the I'm doing this better than the institutions that are out there, and I'm a private collector. To me, that seems to butt heads very much so with the idea of game preservation.
Well, the good thing is that though the other game preservationists out there and foundations, they have no need for the Nintendo PlayStation anyway.
Right.
What are they going to do with it?
Right. And that comes back to what I said earlier. The only like sad thing is to think about, like I said, if you're a preservationist, well, think about all the actual preservation you could be doing with this money.
Yeah, but people spend the money the way they want to.
I get it, but I'm just saying, if you're going to call yourself a preservationist, then you have to think about it that way.
Well, this is the weird thing.
You can't have it both ways.
Does Palmer coming out publicly, is this to get attention on whatever he's going to announce for his video game preservation side? Or is this a bully tactic to get people from bidding on it? Or is it both? See, to me, by the way, since he announced it, this hasn't moved the past few days. It's still at
what, 350,
350. So it hasn't moved. But keep in mind, this is going to go until the live auction. I believe it's March 6th. So after it ends online, there's going to be a live auction.
It's got some time to
go.
So
this is what I'm going to say, and this is what I say for any auction. You never announce you're bidding on something. There's almost no advantage ever to announce you're bidding on something, because the bully tactic may not work, because you might get troll bidders.
Sure.
I know this is heritage, so you get to put out a credit card and file. But hell, what if you get like you get some bullshit credit card you don't care about, or you can cancel or what have you, and you just bid it up? To me, there's almost no advantage to ever announcing you are bidding on something publicly. Keep that to yourself until you bid the last minute. Because bidding on any item early, whether it's eBay or an auction like this, it only can increase the other competition and value to raise up. Because this going up to $350,000 meant that there was someone else that bid it up, whatever the mark was before that, 325 or 330, whatever it was. So there's at least one other bidder that has a lot of money into this that we know of besides Palmer.
Right.
So this is a strange auction, because this is a one-of-a-kind item that we don't know about. Obviously, Sony doesn't care about it. I mean, Sony can always like pull the card like, hell, this is our item. It was never returned to us, a prototype. They probably don't give a crap though. But who knows? Maybe they'll bid on it, or maybe who knows? Sony's got money too. So that's all I'm going to say. So it's still at $350,000 plus a $70,000 buyer's premium at this point to $420. $420. And the auction ends in 16 days. Again, but the live auction ends, I think it was March 6th. I got to find that information there. It's interesting. March 6th is going to be on a Texas auction floor at the Heritage headquarters with live and phone bidders. So that's when it's going to be interesting, because then you can have some
operators are standing by.
No, that's how literally they do. It's like my bidder bids. That's literally how these. You ever see art auctions? That's how it works. So you're literally going to have potential sports stars. Hell, maybe you get some like NBA player that grew up with the PlayStation that's retired. It's like, you know, I want to put some money into this, or some actor, or someone with like, you know, some oil money that's going to say, I want to bid like, you know, $1 million on this. We'll see where it ends up. I in my head, I have no idea where it could end up. Maybe around $1 million, maybe more. It's that I guess the fervor of the live thing is going to, you know, there's a psychology involved as well.
Sure.
We do know that it was reported that Terry turned down 1.2 million. He's on record saying that in an article. I would have taken the cash and ran, just because maybe it's under the table. You get away with it, and you don't have to worry about potentially paying the auction house.
Split it up between 6 mayonnaise jars and bury, you know, one in the backyard of each of your like family members' houses. So that's.
Have you done that, Ian, with some coins?
Yeah, I'm hiding a fortune.
I never buried money. You buried your paperboy money? Oh. Did you have a paper route?
Oh, I did.
You did? Paperboy Ian?
Yeah, I had two paper routes.
All right,
Paper
anything
routes
else
on weekends are miserable.
Anything else to add here? Do you have any idea where you think this might end up, or it's just so hard to tell because you don't know who's watching this?
I don't care.
You don't care?
No, I do care. I think it's going to end up in some dusty bedroom.
Really?
The metaphorical dusty bedroom.
It's going to be. You don't think someone might win it and donate it to like the Strong Museum?
I'd love to be proven wrong.
Okay, National Video Game Museum would end up with it.
Love to see that happen.
Here's the good news. Our buddy Ben Heck already documented the hell out of this. We told you before, in a series of videos. I believe the firmware was dumped as well. So like we know just about all we need to know.
Yeah,
about this.
I mean, Frank Cifaldi said that when it was announced months ago that this was going to be auctioned. That the good news is this has all been torn down and documented basically as much as it possibly could be documented.
Ben documented every chip that was on there, what it did.
Yeah,
he fixed the damn thing.
Right. I'm not saying they would, but I mean, the amount of documentation that's been done on it, they probably have enough specs and stats to rebuild the thing if they wanted to.
Terry, throw Ben a few bucks here, you know, for fixing it, doing a good job there. Ben's not really doing that many videos, last I heard. I gotta look up see what he's doing.
He hasn't been for a while. He was kind of taking a step away from it.
I like Ben. Anyway, all right, that's it on this topic. We don't know if there's an owner's premium as well. That's probably negotiated between the Heritage and Terry, but the 20% buyer's premium, woo, wow, that's how Heritage makes their money. Put something up for auction, we're going to make probably a few $100,000 on the 20%.
Yeah,
on this with the pat math there. So there you go. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll probably do an update when it ends on the.
We cannot
27th.
terminate this topic, can we?
Well,
we've been dragging this topic.
Well,
on.
when should we come back to this? After the final
after
auction.
Yes.
Final.
We're moving on. Moving on up. The Sony PS5 is going to be expensive, Patrick.
The Sony? What did you say?
The Sony PS5 is going to be expensive. It's looking pricey.
Speaking
Goddamn.